Welcome back to another exciting episode of AI Historic Expeditions. Today we'll be diving deep into the world of European kingdoms during the 16th century. We'll recreate the images of their rulers and their impact on history. Get ready for a time travel to the Kingdom of England, the Kingdom of Scotland, the Kingdom of France, the Kingdom of Spain, the Holy Roman Empire, the Kingdom of Portugal, the Kingdom of Sweden, the Kingdom of Denmark-Norway, the Kingdom of Poland-Lithuania, and the Kingdom of Hungary. Our first destination is the Kingdom of England, where we encounter a series of influential monarchs. We begin with Henry VII, who reigned from 1485 to 1509. He laid the foundation for the Tudor dynasty and initiated significant administrative reforms. Henry VII's son, Henry VIII, ascended to the throne in 1509, and his reign is known for its monumental impact on England's history. From his 6 marriages to the establishment of the Church of England, Henry VIII was undoubtedly a figure of great importance. Following Henry VIII's era, we have Edward VI, who ruled from 1547 to 1553. Despite his short reign, he left a lasting impact on religious reforms, primarily through the advancement of Protestantism. Mary I, the daughter of Henry VIII, was also known as Bloody Mary. She took the throne in 1553. Her reign was marked by her fervent attempts to restore Catholicism in England, leading to the persecution of Protestants. Now we come across one of the most iconic English monarchs of all time, Elizabeth I. Her reign, spanning from 1558 to 1603, is often referred to as the Elizabethan era. Under her rule, England experienced a golden age of cultural and artistic flourishing. Our next stop takes us to the Kingdom of Scotland, where we witness a dynamic lineage of rulers. Starting with James IV, who was the King of Scotland from 1488 to 1513. He was the eldest son of King James III and Margaret of Denmark. He became king after his father was killed in a battle against rebels. He was an energetic and popular ruler who unified Scotland, strengthened royal finances, and improved Scotland's position in Europe. He wore an iron belt as a penance for his father's death. James V followed in his father's footsteps, ruling from 1513 to 1542. He faced numerous challenges during his reign, including conflicts with England and the Protestant Reformation's growing influence. Mary I, often referred to as Mary, Queen of Scots, assumed the throne in 1542. Mary was 6 days old when her father died, and she inherited the throne. Plagued by political intrigue and religious conflicts, she was ultimately forced to abdicate. Her claim to the English throne and involvement in a plot against Queen Elizabeth I led to her 19-year imprisonment by her cousin. Mary met her end through execution by beheading. James VI, son of Mary I, ascended to the Scottish throne in 1567. His reign is particularly significant as it marks the union of the crowns of Scotland and England, paving the way for the future Kingdom of Great Britain. He became the King of England and Ireland as James I from the union of the Scottish and English crowns on the 24th of March 1603 until his death in 1625. This marked the end of the Tudor dynasty, replaced by the Stuarts. As we venture into the Kingdom of France, we encounter a series of rulers during the 16th century. Let's begin with Louis XII, who reigned from 1498 to 1515. Under his reign, the province of Brittany finally became a de facto permanent province of France. Known as the Father of the People, Louis XII played a pivotal role in the French Renaissance. Francis I succeeded Louis XII in 1515. His ambitions for territorial expansion resulted in ongoing clashes with the Habsburg dynasty, particularly Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor. Francis I established the Fontainebleau School, which became a renowned center for artistic innovation, attracting prominent artists like Leonardo da Vinci, Benvenuto Cellini, and Rosso Fiorentino. Henry II, who ruled from 1547 to 1559, continued his predecessor's efforts to strengthen France's influence. He introduced the concept of publishing the description of an invention in the form of a patent. Henry II was an avid hunter and a participant in jousting tournaments. During a jousting match, he was wounded in the eye, which led to brain damage and eventually his death by sepsis. Francis II, Henry II's son, ascended to the throne in 1559, but sadly reigned for only a year. Despite his short tenure, Francis II's reign was marked by religious tensions and the rise of Protestantism. Charles IX succeeded his brother Francis II and ruled from 1560 to 1574. His reign was marked by political instability and the infamous St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, which occurred during the French Wars of Religion. Last for this episode, we have Henry III, the fourth son of King Henry II. He was the King of Poland and Grand Duke of Lithuania from 1573 to 1575. His reign as King of France lasted from 1574 to 1589. There were reports that Henry engaged in same-sex relations with his court favorites, known as the mignons. In 1570, discussions commenced arranging for Henry to court Queen Elizabeth I of England. However, nothing came of these discussions. Although he was expected to produce an heir after he married the 21-year-old Louise of Lorraine, no issue resulted from their union. Henry III was assassinated by a young fanatical Dominican friar, Jacques Clément, in 1589. We now travel back in time to 16th century Kingdom of Spain, where we encounter a lineage of powerful rulers. Isabella and Ferdinand's accomplishments were truly extraordinary. Spain experienced a level of unity it had never known before, with centralized crown power. The successful conclusion of the Reconquista, along with the establishment of a robust legal framework and a reformed church, laid the foundation for Spain's dominant military force in the following century and a half. Even without the advantageous American expansion, Spain would have emerged as a prominent European power. However, Columbus's discovery propelled the nation towards becoming the first modern global superpower. Charles I was the grandson of Isabella I of Castile and Ferdinand II of Aragon. He was heir to and then head of the rising House of Habsburg during the first half of the 16th century. Charles I inherited the Spanish throne in 1516, ruling over a vast empire that included territories in Europe, the Americas, and Asia. His reign was marked by conflicts, religious reforms, and exploration. We will meet him again as Charles V and one of the rulers of the Holy Roman Empire. The son of Emperor Charles V and Isabella of Portugal, Philip II inherited his father's Spanish Empire in 1556 and succeeded to the Portuguese throne in 1580, following a dynastic crisis. He is often remembered as a staunch defender of Catholicism and for his involvement in the Spanish Armada's ill-fated campaign against England. In 1588, he sent an armada to invade Protestant England, with the strategic aim of overthrowing Elizabeth I and re-establishing Catholicism there, but his fleet was defeated in a skirmish at Gravelines, northern France, and then destroyed by storms as it circled the British Isles to return to Spain. Our next destination is the Holy Roman Empire, a vast realm with a rich history and diverse rulers. Maximilian I was the only surviving son of Frederick III, Holy Roman Emperor, and Eleanor of Portugal. He reigned from 1493 to 1519, although never crowned by the Pope, as the journey to Rome was blocked by the Venetians. Maximilian I played a crucial role in transforming the Holy Roman Empire into a more centralized entity. Charles V, one of the most influential rulers of his time, ascended to the throne in 1519 after succeeding Maximilian I. During his reign, he faced significant religious and political conflicts, notably the Protestant Reformation and wars against the Ottoman Empire. Charles engaged in continuous warfare with Suleiman the Magnificent, the Ottoman Sultan. In his capacity as Holy Roman Emperor, Charles summoned Martin Luther to a meeting in 1521, offering him safe passage to either renounce or reaffirm his views. Ultimately, although Charles outlawed Protestant teachings, he honored his promise and allowed Martin Luther to depart the city without harm. Ferdinand I assumed the throne in 1556 when Charles V abdicated as emperor in August 1556 in favor of his brother Ferdinand. Ferdinand's reign was marked by religious tensions, particularly between Catholics and Protestants, as well as conflicts with the Ottoman Empire. Maximilian II, who succeeded Ferdinand I in 1564, is often remembered as a patron of the arts and sciences. His reign witnessed advancements in literature, music, and philosophy. Lastly, we have Rudolf II, who reigned from 1576 to 1612. His rule was characterized by his passion for arts and sciences, making his court a center of intellectual and cultural exchange. Our journey now takes us to the Kingdom of Portugal, where we uncover a lineage of monarchs who navigated through a changing world. Manuel I, who ruled from 1495 to 1521, oversaw Portugal's exploration and colonization efforts. He financed numerous famed Portuguese navigators, including Pedro Álvares Cabral, who discovered Brazil, Afonso de Albuquerque, who established Portuguese hegemony in the Indian Ocean, among numerous others. John III, who succeeded Manuel I in 1521, continued Portugal's expansion into new territories. During his reign, the Portuguese became the first Europeans to make contact with Japan. On the eve of his death in 1557, the Portuguese Empire had a global dimension and spanned almost 4 million square kilometers, 1.5 million square miles. Sebastian, also known as the Desired, assumed the throne in 1557. His short reign was marked by his ambitious military campaigns, particularly the ill-fated invasion of Morocco, which ultimately led to his demise. Henry I, known as the Cardinal-King, ruled from 1578 to 1580. He was the last king of the Aviz dynasty, and his reign marked a period of political instability in Portugal. Our expedition now leads us to the Kingdom of Sweden, where we encounter a lineage of rulers who shaped the destiny of the nation. We begin with John I, who was a Scandinavian monarch under the Kalmar Union, a personal union in Scandinavia under a single monarch of the three kingdoms of Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. John has often appeared a commoner's king, a jolly good man with a folksy manner. Behind the surface, however, he seems to have been a hard realist and a zealous political calculator. In many ways, he is a Scandinavian equivalent of Louis XI of France and Henry VII of England. Christian II was also a Scandinavian monarch under the Kalmar Union. The Stockholm bloodbath in 1517 was a violent event in which Christian II of Denmark executed Swedish noblemen, leading to Sweden's secession from the Kalmar Union. He ruled Sweden from 1520 to 1521. His efforts to centralize power ultimately led to his downfall. Gustav I, also known as Gustav Vasa, the country's leader during the Swedish War of Liberation, when King Christian II was deposed from the throne. Gustav I ascended to the throne in 1523 and played a pivotal role in establishing Sweden as an independent and Protestant nation. He worked to raise taxes and bring about a reformation in Sweden, replacing the prerogatives of local landowners, noblemen, and clergy with centrally appointed governors and bishops. Eric XIV, Gustav I's son, ruled from 1560 to 1568. Unlike his father, who had been satisfied with ruling an independent state, Eric tried to expand his influence in the Baltic region and in Estonia, beginning the process that resulted in Sweden becoming a great power in the 17th century. Eric was in opposition to the Swedish nobility and eventually was imprisoned and died in Årbyhus Castle. John III, the second son of Gustav Vasa, ruled from 1568 to 1592. He was also the ruler of Finland. His reign witnessed Sweden's involvement in conflicts with Russia and Poland-Lithuania, as well as advancements in culture and education. He turned the medieval Kalmar castle into a Renaissance palace, and often resided there because it was closer to Poland, where his wife Catherine Jagiellon was from. Let's now explore the Kingdom of Denmark-Norway, where a series of monarchs left their mark on history. We begin with John I, who ruled from 1481 to 1513. We already met him as the ruler of Sweden under the Kalmar Union. The three most important political goals of King John were the restoration of the Kalmar Union, reduction of the dominance of the Hanseatic League, and the building of a strong Danish royal power. Christian II, also known as the ruler of Sweden during the Kalmar Union, reigned over the Kingdom of Denmark-Norway from 1513 to 1523. His rule was marked by profound political unrest, religious strife, and the dawn of the Protestant Reformation within Denmark-Norway. Frederick I, who ascended to the throne in 1523, played a significant role in establishing Lutheranism as the state religion of Denmark-Norway. As King of Norway, Frederick is most remarkable in never having visited the country and was never crowned as such. Christian III, who ruled from 1534 to 1559, established Lutheranism as the state religion within his realms as part of the Protestant Reformation and was the first king of Denmark-Norway. His reign witnessed the confiscation of Catholic Church lands and the establishment of a more centralized government. Frederick II, who succeeded his father Christian III, was a member of the House of Oldenburg and reigned from 1559 to 1588. In 1572, Frederick married his cousin Sophie of Mecklenburg. Their relationship is regarded as one of the happiest royal marriages in Renaissance Europe. Our next destination takes us to the Kingdom of Poland-Lithuania, a realm with a rich and complex history. We begin with Alexander Jagiellon, who ruled from 1501 to 1506, during a time of political and dynastic challenges. He was the last known ruler of the Gediminid dynasty to have maintained the family's ancestral Lithuanian language. After his death, Polish became the sole language of the family, thus fully Polonizing the Jagiellons. Sigismund I, who succeeded Alexander Jagiellon, ruled from 1506 to 1548. Sigismund had a profound interest in Renaissance humanism and the revival of classical antiquity. Among the illustrious figures that guested or lived in Poland at the time were Bartolomeo Berecci, Francesco Fiorentino, Santi, and Matteo Gucci, Bernardo Morando, Giovanni Battista de Quadro, and Hans Dürer. Sigismund II Augustus, who reigned from 1548 to 1572, was the last ruler from the Jagiellon dynasty. Sigismund Augustus married 3 times. His first wife, Elizabeth of Austria, died in 1545 at just 18. He was then involved in several relationships with mistresses, the most famous being Barbara Radziwill, who became Sigismund's second wife and Queen of Poland, in spite of his mother's disapproval. Barbara died 5 months after her coronation. Presumably due to ill health, however, rumors circulated that she was poisoned. Sigismund finally wedded Catherine of Austria, but remained childless throughout his life. Finally, our expedition leads us to the Kingdom of Hungary, where a line of monarchs navigated through a complex political landscape. We begin with Vladislaus II, was the eldest son of Casimir IV Jagiellon, and was expected to inherit Poland and Lithuania. He who ruled from 1490 to 1516, during a period of Ottoman expansion. Louis II, who succeeded Vladislaus II, ruled from 1516 to 1526. His reign was marred by conflicts with the Ottoman Empire, ultimately leading to his defeat and death in the Battle of Mohacs. Nearly the entire Hungarian royal army was destroyed in nearly 2 hours on the battlefield. John I, also known as John Zapolya, assumed the throne in 1526. In 1526, the Ottoman Empire crushed the Hungarian royal army in the Battle of Mohacs and killed King Louis II. John Zapolya was en route to the battlefield with his sizable army, but did not participate in the battle for unknown reasons. The Ottomans sacked the royal capital of Buda and occupied Sirmia, then withdrew from Hungary. Ferdinand I of the Holy Roman Empire, who ruled Hungary from 1526 to 1564, established Habsburg rule over the kingdom. His reign witnessed ongoing struggles against the Ottoman Empire. That concludes our AI historic expedition through the kingdoms and rulers of Europe during the 16th century. We hope you enjoyed this journey back in time and gained a deeper understanding of the significant figures who shaped the course of history.